Thank you, Dvon, for joining us today. I know you run an agency called Spark Pontiac, and you've been using a few of our leads and things like that as well. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'll go right into these questions and whatnot.
All right, great.
All right. Tell us, how long have you been in insurance, and what product are you mainly selling?
So I've been in insurance for since I was 18. I'm 34 now, so that's about 16 years. And I'm primarily selling Medicare health insurance.
Awesome, awesome. And are you mainly selling like face to face or over the phone?
Mostly face to face, but I have had a decent amount of over the phone interactions and sales.
Okay, cool. So you got quite a bit of experience doing kind of all over the place wherever you need to.
Okay, so
Awesome. And I know with our company, you've been using a couple different leads. We may talk about a few of them, but I know that you've been really using the Medicare Pre-set Appointments with our company. How are you liking those?
So the pre-set appointments have actually been working out pretty well. I've gotten, I think I've done out of 15, I've gotten three, yeah, about three sales out of that so far. So that's not too bad considering all things, and considering that it's the summertime. So three sales in the summertime, I would say, is pretty good. And I have a lot of people I'm starting to pick up for AEP next year. They need an agent. So I say they're working out pretty well.
Okay, awesome. So you're saying like, hey, they may have not resulted in a sale initially, but now they're in your book. You know, you're their agent, and when it comes back time for AEP next year, you're going to be reaching right back out and
Yep,
setting them up. So they may not have resulted in a sale right now, but there's a highly likelihood that they are going to.
absolutely. That's exactly it.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And what would you say like your average closing ratio on those, like if you had to project, including that kind of thought in there, what would you say that your closing ratio is about going to be roughly?
Like 20, well, not 10% right now. So I was trying to do the math really quickly in my head. So it's like 10 to 20%, I think, right now. Because if I did 3 out of 15, yeah,
I
that's
know
like
you got a
20%.
few that are coming up too. Like I
And I
know
have,
that some
yeah, I
are.
had to reschedule some. Um, but yeah, I would say it's probably about 20% right now. And for once again, it being summertime, I personally think that's pretty good. I don't usually expect huge results during lock-in, so I would say that that's pretty good. And I think, like I said, I'm going to get a lot of this to turn over during open enrollment. So I'm playing this kind of for the long game, and so I'm going to be counting this after AEP. Like, how many sales did I close overall in January? You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's just starting that conversation and putting you there as the agent. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what would you say your approach is and process is for working the preset appointment leads? So if we just had to think about it, like when you see the preset appointment come in,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing to prep for that
Sure.
appointment?
Yeah, so I treat it like if I was going on some sort of sport encounter, like if I was playing basketball, you got a pregame and a postgame. So my
Mhm.
pregame is when I see the lead come in, I immediately add them to my CRM. So that way they get like a text message letting them know who I am. And then I try to call them. I try to get a hold of them as fast as I can. More often than not, they just set the appointment with the agent. And if I can get on the phone with them, they were just on the phone. They may think that same person is calling them back. And I usually just say, hey, this is Dvon. I'm the agent who's going to be meeting with you. Confirm the date, confirm the time, confirm their address. Try to make sure they're living in an apartment to grab that apartment number. And then usually I don't call again unless I'm like running late or the person didn't show up. But I try to do that one call and then show up. After that, the post game is important. So a lot of times, we're in lock in, so you're not going to close a huge percentage of these sales in the moment. But what I found is a lot of these guys don't like really doing telephonic sales. They really don't want to do those telephonic enrollments. And so when I provide a friendly local face-to-face agent that they feel like they can call. I usually answer questions for them. And in many cases, I'll tell them things about their plan that they don't know that they already have. And sometimes I'll send out like a list of doctors, list of local gyms that they can use under their insurance, or just some basic coverage information that they weren't aware of. So that way I can come back and lock those people in later on during open enrollment. So that's how I've been approaching those. Like I said earlier, really playing for the long game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That sounds awesome. And, you may have covered some of this a little bit already just a moment ago, but if anyone was working preset appointments like this for the first time, like, do you have any tips that come to mind? Like, make sure you're doing this or whatnot for them if it's the first time they're working these types of leads.
Yeah, the first thing that I would tell you is, if anyone's working, first of all, any type of leads, always understand that you're going to have a percentage of closing that you're going to get right off the bat. There's going to be those hot people who are like ready to go or really just kind of roll over sales. So, and then also expect that you're going to get a bunch of people who say yes to stuff that they don't really mean yes to. They're going to sign up for appointments and they're not going to actually be prepared for them, or they may not understand what they're signing themselves up for. So I would say go in with tempered expectations, especially during lock-in, but always come in from the perspective of being a guide and not a salesperson. They talk to enough salespeople on the phone every day. When you come in from the perspective of, hey, I'm just trying to take a look at your coverage, see if there's any way I can improve on it. If I can, then thumbs up. If I can't, then hey, could give you a call in October. Just make sure I'm the guy that you think of next time you think of Medicare. And these people, they love it. People eat that up. They really just want someone that cares about them. So my biggest tip to new people who are approaching leads like this is come in with a guidance perspective. Make sure that your customers and prospects feel that coming off of you. And I think that you'll do fantastic with approaching these types of leads.
Awesome, awesome, and thank you so much. Definitely, you've got a unique mindset, or rather, you're like you said, you're focused on that long game, that post game, and being accessible to those customers.
Mm-hmm.
And then, how has your experience been just working with us in general? And I know you use a couple different services for us as well, but
Sure, yeah. I mean, Matt, I've talked with you on like bunch of occasions with first getting the CRM and everything set up. And honestly, you guys have been great, always super responsive. To be honest with you, when I started using the leads, I had kind of forgotten about the preset appointments. So when you messaged me like, hey, I saw you got a sale, I was like, I forgot you guys were watching. So I thought that was pretty cool because, I bought leads in the past from several different services. And more often than not, you're kind of on your own. And I just kind of come to the conclusion in my mind that whatever money I spend, if I lose it, then I just lose it. I've just created the mental fortitude around that and being in business. So it was nice to know that somebody's like, hey, did that lead work out for you? No? Okay, well, let's talk about how we can make that better. I think that's fantastic because most agencies don't even help you out with your with sales like that. So yeah, I would overall give you guys a thumbs up.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, we really pride ourselves on trying to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that you're having a good experience. And sometimes, just like everyone else, we have a flop, we got to fix it, or something like that, and that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Last question for you, Dvon. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about purchasing leads from us in general?
So if someone isn't sure about purchasing leads from you guys, I would probably say they're on the fence about purchasing leads in general. And then what I would tell that person is that if you're not, I've been doing this for a long time. And whenever I find an agent who's not really willing to bet on themselves, it's because they don't feel confident in their own abilities. If you are hesitant about purchasing leads from these guys or from any lead organization, you should know what your ability is to close. If you don't feel comfortable with closing leads, then I would advise that you work on doing that before purchasing any leads, because it's, in my experience, is working. I've trained a lot of agents. I worked as a sales manager in my previous agency. I've just been in the industry and experienced a lot of Medicare agents. And more often than not, people just don't work their leads hard enough, And
Yeah.
so what I would tell anyone who's starting this, be prepared to lose. You know, you're going to get out here, you're going to purchase your first 10 leads, and, you know, 8 out of 10 of those people aren't going to answer the phone, or they're not going to be at the door, or they're whatever the case is. And 2 of them are going to show up. And those 2 people, you're responsible for converting those 2 people. That's your job. And if you can't convert those 2 people, then you have to ask yourself, okay, what's the problem? Where did I go wrong? And what can I do in my post game and my pregame to try to make this a better opportunity for myself? So yeah, that's what I would say for anyone looking to purchase leads from you guys or from anyone else. You really got to look at yourself. You got to figure out, are you really mature enough to handle this? You know, are you willing to spend $100 or whatever it may cost per appointment? And if so, then bet on yourself. If not, then you might be working in the wrong job. Or you may need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
brush up on your skills a little bit more.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, we have scripts and things like that kind of help and whatnot. We try to tell people, you know, just like me and you, this is a conversation. Don't make it a sales pitch, you know, make it a guidance, make it a guided conversation, and
Exactly.
try to help that person.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Dvon. It's been a pleasure working with you. And again, thank you so much for coming on to do the interview with me. And, you know, we really appreciate you.
Anytime, Matt. If you need anything else, if you guys have more questions for me, I'm more than happy to jump on with you. Thanks a lot.